So today topic would be on the SLP, supplier management. I think I'm sharing my screen. So far what we have seen is supplier management. So far what we have seen is upstream in sourcing and contract, where you get an option to choose the template which you are looking for. So you might be having multiple templates, maybe region-based template, commodity-based template, or different workflow template. You can able to choose. The supplier, the user have an option to choose multiple templates. When it is coming to SLP, it is only one template. That template only you have to use it. Why? Those two, sourcing and contract, is buyer facing, where the buyer is going to sell the template. In supplier management, we are expecting the response from the supplier. So it is a supplier facing template. So it is not possible for Ariba to display multiple templates and ask the supplier to use it. So that will make a mess. So it's only one template that is being updated. But you can have a multiple questionnaires based on your requirement. That is possible, but the template remains only one. So that is one of the first difference. It may be an interview question also they might be asking. So can you create multiple templates in SLP? Then you say, no, that is not possible. Or if any template question they are asking, you should be able to tell that in sourcing and contract we have multiple templates, but in SLP we have only one template. Okay, so let us understand what is supplier management process or SLP process, how we are going to do that. The first thing, foremost thing would be supplier creation. So for that, we are going to use supplier request template. So when you go to SLP, when you click on create supplier request, then a form will appear. You will be filling the form, which is the basic ID, like you are going to mention supplier name, contact address, email address, and simply you submit it. So that is the first step, the supplier request. When you create a supplier request, the supplier is created as a local vendor. That means the supplier only recorded in Ariba only. We have not done any activity over the network or to the supplier. Okay. Second step is, once I created a supplier request and it is called as a local vendor, what is the next step? So supplier registration. Supplier registration. So what will be happening in this step? I go to the Ariba, I select the supplier, and I click on invite button. So what will happen when I send an invite button? An email. So whatever the supplier during supplier request you have mentioned. Okay, sorry about that. So during supplier registration, I go to the supplier and click on invite. An email will go to the contact address which is maintained during supplier request creation. If it is not available, you can add an additional contact to the supplier, and then you are going to send an invitation. So what will happen? An email will go from Ariba buying or Ariba supplier to the vendor in his personal, his email address, whichever you have added. It's an option to log in or use up sign up, either sign up or login. So what will happen? Sign up, he is going to create a new account. If he is saying login, he uses an existing account and he will log in into the system, which I believe I have already given an exercise or the assignment where you're going into the SLP and then update the requisition. Then you go to the sourcing, you send a link to the supplier. He will click on and he register and he will able to correspond with you on the RFP questionnaires. Sorry, RFP responses. So that we have already seen. If you are not practiced, I'm not sure about it. So till this step we have done as part of our sourcing module also. Now an invitation email will go. Then here the status of the supplier will be not invited. It is very first or basic step. And here invited but not registered. So after the supplier opens an email and he creates an account, and then he is going to provide response to the registration questionnaire. Then he becomes registered supplier. With this step, supplier registration is completed. Now the supplier is registered in our Ariba as well as business network. Now, as soon as he responds to the supplier registration questionnaire, AN ID, Ariba network ID, will copy from network to Supplier 360. When you go to the Supplier 360 page and when you see the organizational IDs, AN IDs get updated from what the account the supplier has created. So with this process, you continue transact with the supplier without any disturbances. Now your system has been ready. Suppose your client is following supplier qualification process. The next step would be supplier qualification. So in supplier qualification, what we are going to do, we are going to qualify the supplier based on commodity, region, and department. So department is an optional one. Most of the cases, commodity and region, which are very basic and important also. So why do we do supplier qualification? Suppose I am working with Berger Paints company. Okay, this is my supplier. I want to validate him for, basically I'm going to do for the painting only. So I'm going to test that painting in my premises. If everything is going to fine, I'm going to, so the commodity being paint, the region would be India. So, or maybe if we are very specific, in Telangana, I'm going to validate the quality of the Berger paint. I'm going to qualify him for Telangana region, and paint commodity I have qualified. The same Berger company is also supplying chemicals. For that, I may not be the correct person to qualify it, so I'm not going to qualify it. So it is possible that you do the supplier qualification based on a commodity and a region with additional option of department. For example, even Berger company painting commodity in Telangana region, and particularly for a manufacturing, I have validated. However, my company is also having a corporate office, head office, and other administrative office, regional offices. We're not going to confirm on that. Only for the manufacturing side, I have verified their paint and it is fine. So that way, you're going to validate the qualification of the supplier and you're going to do that. Similarly, for the chemical, I have not validated. It is possible that you qualify him for certain commodities, certain regions, and department. Now, let us understand that. So, as a qualification, let's do a RAM IT. Okay, in IT consumables, I am going to take a, what is the company? IBM. So, I have supplier, my supplier is IBM. So, for IT, under IT, I am going to talk for Ariba. Okay, I'm going to validate him. So, how I am going to validate him? I'm going to prepare a questionnaire which says that, do you have authorized from SAP? That is first question. If it says second, then how many implementations you have done? How many implementation? Then I'm going to ask him, what is the references you are having? And then I might ask him, do you provide 24/7 support or 9/5 support? What is your support area? And do you have an on-site or development center in India or in abroad? Or you can able to provide responses to on-site availability also. So my questionnaire is different. So this same questionnaire, I cannot use to send it for Berger paint. So I need to have a questionnaire formulated based on the commodities. So accordingly, when I'm doing a qualification, I'm going to select, when I'm selecting for a IT commodity code, I'm going to select the questionnaire which I'm preparing here. If I'm selecting commodity code of a chemical, I'm going to use the questionnaire prepared by this. If I'm going to select for a paint, I'm going to select the questionnaire prepared by this. So this way, you are going to send the qualification. So during supplier qualification, same way, like how you have invited, you are going to send a qualification questionnaire to the supplier, and supplier will receive the same way in his business network. He is going to receive the questionnaire. He is going to fill in the detail whatever you have asked. Based on that, again, there is an internal approver or an external approver. Internal approver, he is going to validate your questionnaire and he is going to qualify you. There is one more thing here is, during supplier registration, it is also possible that you send the same questionnaire internally also. So what is the internal team will do? They are going to assign this supplier to a purchase organization or a company code, some additional information, cost center or GL account or something like that, which is only known to the internal people only, which will not know to the supplier. So once I registered him, so I'm going to assign this supplier to a, probably I'll call it as a raw material vendor, or I'll call it as a chemical vendor, I'll call it as a IT vendor. So I'm going to decide which vendor he is a, or maybe import vendor, local vendor, whatever you are having supplier classification, that will be done by your internal team. So you're going to send two questionnaires, one to the supplier, that is external. He's going to fill in the registration questionnaire. One internal questionnaire you are going to circulate probably to the procurement department to enter the details of the supplier, under which classification, what type of a supplier, and how you want to put it. That is one thing. And during qualification, same way, you can also send it to internal team to verify the qualification. And once it is approved, then the supplier will become qualified. Where is the status? Here. Okay. The supplier will become qualified status. When you see the supplier 360-degree of the profile, you're going to see him qualified status. So after the qualification, I can also do preferred supplier. So what is preferred supplier? So now I have done validations. For example, I'll take it as an IT commodity. I have sent questionnaires to IBM, then Infosys. Then I'm going to send it to Deloitte, all big major companies, KPMG, or some other external vendors you have invited or you have sent this status. Now, I have, based on the responses, I'm going to give the ranking. Probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the supplier. I'm going to call IBM as a preferred supplier 1 or level 1 or level 2. Or maybe I can have gold for supplier, gold rating or platinum rating, something like that. It is up to you. You can able to have a number of levels. So level 1, you can call any name also. Level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5, or level 6, level 7. So what is happen? I'm going to make a preferred supplier of a IBM level 1. Maybe Deloitte I will give level 2. I'm just randomly giving it. Based on your responses or your analysis, you're going to make them preferred. So what will happen when I do this ranking? Whenever supplier or a user is creating a purchase requisition, the system will tell that in order of whatever the preferences you have given. For example, if I give an IBM as the ranking 1, so his catalogs will be shown first and the other catalog will be shown second when I'm looking for a commodity code. So that way you're going to make the preferred supplier. But this preferred supplier, you can only do for the items which you have qualified in the past. It is not possible. For example, I have not done chemical, IT, budget, paints. If I'm doing for a, what else? Additives or some granules or something, I will not be able to do the preferred status. I can only do the preferred status for the commodities or regions which have been qualified in the past. If I did not do the qualification, then I will not be able to make it. So the preliminary step for preferred supplier would be, you have to do the qualification, existing qualification, and after the qualification, you are going to make a different levels of your preferred status. So this is the supplier qualification where you're going to onboard the supplier. That is the first step, and second registration, and third qualification, and fourth preferred supplier. Then one more advantage of preferred supplier would be, you can also have a parameter enabled. What will happen is when you create a sourcing event, when you go to the participants, automatically based on the commodity I have selected during header field, then if I'm marking as a IT commodity, for example, then automatically all these suppliers will be added to the event. Default preferred suppliers to the event. So I don't need to select manually. Whatever in my database, whatever I have done the preferred, and in your sourcing event, you will also notice, go to the rules and you verify it. Allow preferred suppliers automatically added to the event as yes or no. Again, there is a parameter. Once it is enabled, the system will allow in your template to make this one. Once you select it, whenever a user is creating a sourcing event, automatically these preferred suppliers will be added to the event, and then you're going to get the responses and you're going to validate. So this will make the life of sourcing agent easier. So you don't need to add manually all these suppliers. Suppose if any of the supplier disqualifies from his preferred status, then this supplier will not be having an opportunity to participate in sourcing event. That is the reason. So the supplier will be competent and they're also going to be more proactive to get the business. So it's all they will be having a good relationship with the buyer so that they will get a more business by making the questionnaires approved and they are going to do that. So apart from this, there is a disqualification process. What is disqualification? For example, as I mentioned, I am doing a qualification for paint in Telangana for a manufacturing. However, one of the person in Telangana, again, I'm going to different divisions. Okay, manufacturing people are okay, but there are some other production people, not production. Maybe in head office, the quality of the paint is not perfect. So they are going to say that we don't want to use Badger for all our branches for painting work and all. We don't want to use Badger company. Then you can able to disqualify by going into the disqualification. For disqualification also, you should have been qualified only. For those only you will be selecting. So I'm going to select the commodity as a paint. I'm going to select the Telangana region, excluding manufacturer. All other reasons I'm going to disqualify him. So then, whenever your purchase requisitions are created for the paint and from Telangana, not from a manufacturing department, other department will not able to use the Badger because he has been disqualified. So that way, you can also have a disqualification questionnaire that might also have a approval. Once it is approved, the existing qualification will be disqualified. Similarly, in your preferred supplier status, you can go back to, once you disqualify him, automatically the preferred status also will be get removed. So as I mentioned, for a preferred status, you should be having a qualification available. If you disqualify him, automatically the preferred status of that particular commodity and region and department will be disqualified and he will not able to use it. That is about the disqualification template. So for all these things, a unique template will be available. Unique template, that means single template. So you are going to override this template or you are going to make new versions of the template whenever there is a changes. So what kind of a changes? In supplier request, we are having a form. In supplier registration, we are having a questionnaire. Qualification also we are having a questionnaire. Preferred status is basically of an internal one where for which commodity you are going to mark that supplier. Okay, now you will be having only one template, that is single template. You're going to create a new version whenever you want to make the changes. Then one thing I want to mention here, during supplier request, these details are entered by the buyer. That is called, so it's called buyer is going to provide the detail, or I might going to share a link to the supplier and asking him to fill it. Even I don't want to take the ownership, whatever the like contact number, email address, or who is the responsible person, what is the commodity, all other things also I want to get from the supplier. I don't want to enter myself and then later I will change and then instead of that, I'm going to share a link to the supplier. I ask him, hey, can you please fill in? Once the response received, I'm going to click approve and then the supplier will be created as a local vendor. So that is called self-registration template. Self-registration template. So what is the advantage of this? It will avoid the errors created by the buyer with off knowledge or if he is not having a full knowledge on the supplier details. And this link can also be embedded in your corporate portal where new suppliers want to do the business. You can tell them, hey, go to our portal, there is a supplier column. You can click on and submit your details. Then once it is reviewed internally, we will get a link to register on business network. So that's called supplier registration template. And you will also have two templates. One is supplier request and second is self-registration template. And this self-registration template, Ariba is going to provide that URL, which can be shared either by email or you can embed it in your portal. Clear? Any questions on the supplier process?
Siri, I have a quick question. Can I go ahead and talk?
Yeah.
My question was into supplier management. So do we have any specific team for the supplier management to handle out? Or is it we are using the template and going ahead with all questionnaires, qualification, preferred supplier things and all?
Okay. So if you're asking me who is the users going to do this activity, like sourcing is going to create it by sourcing agent, or we call it as a buyer also. Okay. Similarly, contract will be created again buyer. We'll call them as a contract agent or the contract manager. They're going to prepare the contract workspaces. When it is coming to the supplier, some organizations have a supplier teams. So supplier, what is called commodity managers. So they are the responsible persons to manage the suppliers in their system. So for example, a person responsible for chemical commodity code, he is going to take care of all the vendors belongs to him. So he is going to approve any of the vendors being created on that particular account. So that is commodity manager. Vendor management team will be there in certain organization where your supply database is more. Then you are going to have a separate team that is going to be responsible for creation of a new vendor in Ariba, and also monitoring of the suppliers will be done by different departments. In smaller enterprises like 100 or 50 team of a procurement or procurement activities, then it is the responsibility of the buyer to create the supplier also. However, when we are coming to Ariba, when there is a change management happen, this creation of a supplier will be given only to limited people so that they will not mess up. So probably what is the mess up would be, they are not going to create a duplicate vendor, they are not going to enter false information, they are going to validate before they create it. So in supplier request, when you're creating it, the system will suggest, are there any duplicate vendors available? So if I, for example, let us understand Tata Motors. Okay, I create a supplier called Tata Motors, and someone will create a company called Tata Motor India Limited, and someone will create Tata Motors Limited. So all are only one only, but by name they are going to create different. So when that issue comes, when you're consolidating the total spend you're doing against particular vendor, then you have to collect data from multiple vendors instead of having a single source. So that will create a problem. To have a cleanup, so that it is only given to one person or a multiple person who is responsible or who have a knowledge on maintaining the supply database need, they will be assigned this task, and before they approve it, they will validate. It is already existing. Can we add a contact only, not create a new account? All these things will be reviewed and they will going to take the step. That is the first, that will answer your first portion of the question. Second, yes, the template management is the responsibility of Ariba consultant. Suppose someone is asking that add one more questionnaire or add one more field in supplier request form, then we will be going to the templates, modifying the template and publishing it. That is the responsibility of Ariba consultant. Clear?
Thank you, sir, for your explanation.
Your voice breaking. I'm not sure if it is okay. Now,
Sir, it's clear now. I'm able to understand.
Got it. Okay. Now let us talk about the second
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, are there any user roles for which are supporting these activities like sourcing and all? Sourcing contracts. Do you have any Ariba specific user roles which needs to be assigned to the user?
Yes, you have to give it. So in sourcing, you are going to give the permission of a sourcing agent. In contract, you are going to give permission as a contract agent or a contract manager. Only they will be able to get it. Apart from that, there is an administrator who get access to all these things like customer administration. It's all very easy when you go to the, ask me this question, when we go to the users, where we are going to assign, it's called in Ariba, it is called as a groups, GROUP. It's nothing but it is a roles. So those groups are the permissions which give it. So sourcing agent is a group. If I assign sourcing agent permission to a user, he gets the ability to create a sourcing project.
So basically, we need to assign users to these groups, and you will have
Exactly.
the
That's correct. That's correct. You can add groups to the users, and also to the group you can add users. Both the functionality you can use it. Basically, you're going to select a role and assign the users, or you select a user and assign the roles. Both the options are available. So we are going to discuss that in user management. Okay, now this is SLP process. Now, what is the next thing? Supplier performance management. So what is supplier performance management? Okay, now we know all these vendors and other things and all. Now we need to keep a monitoring on them. Why? Unlike earlier, where the suppliers and buyers have a different perspective. So the buyers think that I am going to give the business, so I am in a one level above the supplier, so I can able to dictate my rules. So that was gone era. Now it is not like that. both suppliers and buyers are called partners. That is the reason when you go to SAP MM and SAP S4HANA, it is no more as a supplier and vendor. It is called as a business partner. BP.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's called as BP. Correct.
Yeah. The terminology has been updated. So no more that there is a differentiation on this thing, because your success is purely depending on your suppliers. Suppose if the supplier fails, you are also going to fail it. That particularly very effective when you are having a limited number of sources. For example, you are purchased okay, let us take a car. I have purchased a car from Tata Motors or a Tata car. Probably I'll say the leading one, Nexon car. So during next 5 years, whom I'm going to go to the supplier? I have to go to the Tata Motors only. There is no other option. If I go to another supplier, maybe I have an option. I can go to the next month itself to a local workshop, but I'm going to lose my warranty. If there is some problem, Tata Motors will refuse to troubleshoot the issue. So you will be having only one source here for next 5 years. That is the reason you might go into different agreements, service agreements and other things to make sure that your vehicle will give you optimum results, and they are expert, so they will maintain your vehicle in good condition. The rule applies to the same. So if I'm a chemical manufacturer, I have a supplier called supplier A. He has to give me good quality. If he fails in good quality, I am also going to fail in my end product also. Now, for a chemical manufacturer, I have a supplier base of supplier A, B, C, D, E. Then if supplier A fails, I'll switch over to B. B fails, I'll switch over to C. Even both the fails, I have an option. Still, I have an option. So when you're having an option, it is not that critical that you need to monitor the supplier. However, my source is narrow. So here, if suppose Tata Motors, just giving a random, not specific to this thing, Tata Motors did not performing well. They have closed their workshops all over the local places. Then what will happen? You will be in a highest risk. You have to find out a good expert and do that monitoring. So the similar way, where the businesses, where they are going to do that, something like your financial institutions, what they do, they will keep an eye on the market status of their customers or their suppliers. Basically, it is customers for them. So if there is any fluctuations in their analysis, like in the what is called monthly report, if company is saying that we are ending losses for the last quarter, they will monitor in the next month. Again, it is in last quarter. Last 4 quarters, it's all going in losses. Then you will be alerted to take care. You have to diversify your investment into some other way. The same way, the supplier, if he is not performing, if as long as his performance is reduced, you need to build up the other alternative vendor to that level, or you have to speed up sourcing from other suppliers. Otherwise, you will be in a trouble if that supplier has vanished or if supplier is not able to supply the material. Okay, why we are talking all those things? It is required that you are going to evaluate the supplier and keep an eye on them. So one more functionality which will help would be supplier risk. That is again different topic we are not going to discuss. In supplier risk management, what will happen? The third-party agents are going to monitor. So their data can be linked to the supplier master also. So you will be able to verify whether the supplier is in risk or not. So that is again is supplier risk management. Forget about it. Now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to evaluate my supplier based on periodical. What is the periodical? Probably I'll call it as a quarterly, 3 months, or half yearly, and then annual. Okay. It depends again on how important is your supplier. If the supplier is some doubts you are expecting, then you will be reducing your validation to half yearly. If supplier is very critical and if his performance is very down, then you have to do it in quarterly. Whatever the way, based on your priority of the supplier or your classification, you are going to decide how long you want to do this verification. You are not going to do for all entire your database, only for those very critical to the business. And for example, if my spend is 100, I'm going to, out of my spend of 100, I'm going to spend on raw material raw materials 80%. Okay. Then I'm only worried only for raw material vendors. I don't worry about the 20% of the vendors. Or the same way, 100 is your spend. I'm going to spend on supplier A. I'm spending 40%. Supplier B, I'm spending 20%. 40 plus 60. And then there is a remaining 40 I'm spending on 100 suppliers. Together I'm spending the remaining 40%. Then my query is only on the A and B supplier only. Based on your requirement, you are going to do that either half-yearly or quarterly or annual. Okay, now, what is the process in this process? I'm going to validate. This is important. So what is that? It's called survey and scorecard. You remember these two words, it is very easy to crack in your interview. When they're asking SPM, you just need to say survey and scorecard. So first, you're going to select supplier performance management. Then you're going to select the supplier and you're going to prepare the survey, and based on that, the scorecard. So in surveys, basically, it is going to circulate internally. Probably I'm going to send it to procurement department or receiving department. And I'm going to ask him, hey, how was the packing of the item? How is the quantities are supplied, whether he is supplied in single order or he is distributing the order on time, whether he is delivering or not. That information I'm going to collect from receiving department. And from quality department, I'm going to ask how consistency of the quality he supplied from over multiple deliveries. He is maintaining the same quality, or is there any deficiencies or any quality concerns are there that you're going to qualify from quality department. From finance department, I'm going to ask a question saying that how flexible in his payment terms. If there is a due date, is he immediately nagging us and asking for a payment, or he's allowing some leverage so that in a couple of days when you are releasing also he is accepting? How is invoicing? Are he submitting any duplicate invoices? Try to capture without performing a goods receipt, he's selecting money and all. That you are going to again validate from variance. Finance department. Once you consolidate all the survey questions, you are going to update the scorecard. The scorecard will give you the rank results, which will be of a percentage probably, 90% or 85% or something like that. Then the next would be course of action. This is you are going to do course of action. This is you are going to do out of system only. Only the system will help you to achieve the scorecard for the particular period. What is the ranking? Then you are going to decide your analysis. If the ranking is more than 95%, I do not need much involvement. If it is 100%, I'm going to send him an appreciation. Appreciate the supplier. You're going to say, hey, you've done a good job for the last quarter. We continue to expect the same services for the next quarter also. If it is 95%, it's okay. So once in a while, there is a mistake or something. If it is 80 to 95%, I might need to alert the vendor, hey, you're losing in some performances under. Then I'm going to say 60 to 80. Then I will be doing very frequent monitoring of this vendor because I need to correct it. If less than 60, first I'm going to remove the preferred status, or I disqualify him. Once he improves the quality, then only I want to do that. So that maybe I have done based on the responses. So this is the course of action out of the scorecard. You're going to meet with the vendor and tell them, hey, your performance is low, we cannot continue. If it is less than 50 or 40, immediately you're going to block the vendor because he's not expert your this thing. So Ariba also provides a template for supplier performance management. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. Again, you can do based on the commodity region department, or you can do the supplier performance for entire commodity goods, for all commodity and all region. In one, you can also do that. So it is also helpful. You are going to send the survey internal team members for a period of 3 months or 6 months. And after the final results, you are going to compare the scorecard. This is what you are going to prepare in your template, the survey and scorecard. The details will be given to you by the business. You are going to validate if any changes are needed. So that is in supplier performance management. So theory side, this is the overall in SLP what you are going to expect. And second thing, you will also hear the names called SLP, SAPM, SPM, etc., etc. These are all old-fashioned. Now it is only called SLP only. The others' names have been removed. Ariba is not supporting any SIPM anymore, and SPM also is together. So SLP will provide both the options. We are going to do the supplier lifecycle performance and also supplier performance. Both are combined, and you are going to have only one unified format or unified model. In 2018 and 2019, there is a two different set of supplier performance. Now it is removed. It's only one SLP only. You're going to see all the new implementation and new architecture, which is similar to business plan process in your SLP. So when you're sending the supply data to your backend system, it is easy. All the fields are having relationship. You will be having an architecture like ERP. You are going to have purchase data separately, organization data separately, supply data separately, quality data separately. All are having unified vendor model. This is also called unified vendor model. Unified vendor model. This is the same architecture used in S/4HANA also. So then it is easy to configure SLP talking to the backend system. One thing is, the last thing, it is now Ariba SLP is a replacement for SRM's replacement. SAP was using SRM, which is similar kind of an on-premise solution, supplier relationship management, that is already shown now. Only the existing users are still available. Only for them support is available. Support again done by external. SAP stop providing any patches or any new thing. What is the solution they are offering is Ariba's SLP is the solution for SAP's SRM model. Clear? Any questions?
Siri, I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you basically mean, so Ariba has stopped promoting their SLP, SIPM, discontinued their...
Not SLP.
Okay.
SLP, there is
SIPM.
a older environment that was
Okay.
stopped. Now it is only called new environment. That's all called unified vendor model. SIPM and SPM has been stopped. I mean, offering as a separate solution, it is stopped. You have to take only SLP, or even in simple form, it's called supplier management. So you are going to select supplier management. That will give you options of both SLP and SPM.
Okay, so now the customers are being offered with the solutions if they are already existing with SIPM and SPM. So they are being advised to move.
They're asked to migrate to the newer environment of SLP.
Okay.
That's a simplified process and easy to use also.
All right, sir.
Yeah. This may not be a interview question or something. So probably some people are asking, do you know about SIPM or SPM? So at least you should aware, okay, this was the older one he's talking about. You can tell them that is already void. We are only active on SLP. When you go to the new jobs, this is 2017 and 18. This was there. After that, Ariba slowly stopped all those things. They made it only one solution, that is SLP. It's called SLP. Even now, I can call this as a supplier only. They're not even earlier. So the names will keep on changed by Ariba. So you are going to earlier it is called.
Sir, we can take an example of cloud platform, which is now BTP.
That is B2B is again.
BTP.
Huh?
Business technology platform. Previously, SAP used to have SAP Cloud Platform.
Yeah, that is called CAG. No, not
yes,
CAG.
yes.
ITK. So ITK
Yes,
is replaced with BTP. So integration toolkit, so that they have stopped. After that, it is CIG, Cloud Integration Gateway. CI9, CI that was moved to CIG. And then now, even ITK has stopped, it is moved to the BTP platform. This is also a cloud platform. Instead of doing an on-premise, you can able to do it on cloud. Not that. So earlier it is called procurement. This was nice wording, but they changed to buying and invoicing. They separated buying as a different module and invoicing as a separate module. Even procurement also, there was a different only, whether you go with procure to order or procure to pay scenario, P2O or P2P. Based on that, you are going to give the licenses. Now they renamed the procurement into buying and invoicing, and also sourcing or contracts. I think maybe I can call this SLP and other things also. Now they made it as a supplier management. You will only see supplier contract, and sourcing. So they are removing that management, sourcing management, contract management. They are removing that management. It's only called contracts now. Anyway, so that's it from today's session. We'll connect tomorrow. We're going to see how this is done in SLP or on Ariba.
Tomorrow we have off, I hope so.
Yeah, tomorrow we're off and we'll be connecting on, next session.
Yeah,
Thursday.
yes.